Shiny object syndrome in the AI world is absolutely real, and it took me a couple of years of trials and tribulations to actually figure out what businesses want in the AI world in 2024 and moving on to 2025. In this video, I'm going to break down the 5 automations that I have given to my community that you guys can start selling from anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000. And I'm going to break down every single automation step by step and go really deep in depth with each automation on how it sells and why it sells and for how much. These automations are also sitting at 90 to 95% profit margins, and they're replicatable, meaning I can use the same blueprint for one automation for another client just by tweaking a few of the things. And this is one of the highest leverage business opportunities that I have personally ever seen, and I want you guys to really tap in with me. On top of that, guys, everything that you're seeing in this video is available in my No Code Academy. So basically all you have to do is enter the academy and download any one of these automation blueprints that you can then use and resell to any one of these clients that we're talking about in today's video. So like, subscribe, and let's jump into this absolutely beautiful presentation. So first and foremost, guys, what makes an automation valuable? Now there's 3 main things, and we're going to dive into each one of these topics really deep. But the first one is solving a big problem. And so that's something that's stopping the business from making money, that is taking time away from the owners, or something that is getting in the way of them generating more revenue. The second one is us being able to hand deliverable results, because these automations to business owners may seem a bit confusing. And so if they can see in a physical form of paper the results that we're delivering for them, it'll most likely increase the chance of them staying with us long term. The last point of what makes automation so valuable for us, guys, is that they're replicatable. And so if you have an automation that's already selling to a client in the blue collar niche, it can actually be sold to someone in any other niche just by changing a couple of the variables. And we're going to talk about how these automations can transform depending on who you're selling to in this video today. Okay, so now let's go a little bit deeper into the actual pain points of the customer and what makes an automation so valuable. So the first one is solving a business's problem. And our goal here is to find the highest leverage problems that the business may be having. And so the bigger the problem, the more that the clients will pay you, especially if it's something that's urgent, that is getting in the way of them growing their actual business. And a couple of examples of these are making revenue, freeing up time for the owners, saving money for their operations, or improving their actual product. And some in-depth examples for solving a business's problems could be like a client is starting to plateau. They're not gaining any more leads. They're not generating any new revenue. And our goal in that case would be implementing a lead generation automation that'll actually help them find new leads in new ways. Another one could be customer support is overwhelmed, and these are real people on the phone that are helping the customers with their support. Well, we can actually install a chatbot automation that is trained on all of the company's information so that the chatbot can actually respond to these customers really easily and deliver high quality responses to these customers. A third example could be like the team is disorganized and they're losing a lot of their hot leads. And so we can literally develop an entire internal customer revenue management system that keeps track of all of their different leads. And the beautiful thing about something like that, guys, is that a business's CRM will be very different depending on the type of business that they're running. And so if one business is making like cakes for businesses, they're going to be handling their customer revenue management system way differently than like a SaaS or SMMA agency. And the last one, which is the most exciting thing that we're tapping into these days, is that the customers want to improve their product and they want to enhance their own customers' experience. And there's a bunch of different software that we can install into their own product or offers that makes them a competitive leader in their field. So that was number 1, guys. Number 2, let's talk about actually deliverable results, right? Because automations are quite confusing for people that have no idea what they are. And they're not going to be able to actually see the results from these automations just by looking at the automation run, because it's not something that they can tangibly like grab and look at to see the results. And so depending on what type of client that you get, you need to then think about what type of deliverable you want to be handing them at the end of every single month. And so an example could be like a PDF document that shows the amount of leads that you've generated if you're doing a cold lead gen automation for them. But if you're just trying to increase the brand's revenue, then you could just show them the analytics of revenue from month over month or the new revenue that you have generated for them. A bunch of other ways that you can do this, like tracking their social analytics, tracking their followers, their views, and their overall growth. And some more in-depth examples of deliverable results would be like a client bought a content production system. How has this improved their social media marketing? Well, it has, let's say, given them 100 new video ideas. It has produced an additional 25 videos a month. It has produced an additional 1,000 followers in that month of November, for example. The second example here could be a client bought a chatbot automation. How well is it handling customer requests? And so the stat that you're going to be tracking is how often the customer actually gets their issue resolved with your chatbot versus having to use a human. Because once that chatbot becomes better at handling customer support than a human, then the business owner can actually save even more money by getting rid of the human customer service representative and just using more chatbots that you have designed for them. The third example could be like a client bought content as a service. And so this is one of the simpler ones because you're literally going to be showing them how many new sales you generated for them. Now, this is where it gets super high leverage. And this is why I went all in on AI, guys, because you can start templating these automations, meaning to onboard a new client with an automation that you already have, it'll probably take you like 20 to 30 minutes to just install new APIs and rewire the actual automation to work for what they want it to do. And the insane thing about that is that that is the only work that you're going to do. Once that thing is built, they're going to run it themselves. And so you're literally just teaching these people how to use automations that you have already built. Once you build the CRM once, you can just copy and paste it, copy and paste it, copy and paste it. It's absolutely beautiful. And that applies to all of these in-depth examples that I give you. And so the best automations are the ones that can be used for a different client while only tweaking a couple of these API requests. And so technically, guys, we want to get to a point where that's all we do. We literally install the automation that we already have for our customers. We teach them how to use it. We connect their APIs, and then we're just maintaining it. Meaning we're just going to be paying for the costs, the APIs, and the software, which can all be boiled down to a monthly retainer that you're charging your clients anyways. So now that you guys know what makes an automation valuable, we can move forward. So we're about to dive into 5 in-depth examples of automations that have been selling from the range of $1,000 to $10,000. And what you're going to be seeing are all real systems for my community. The way that my community stays ahead of the game is that every single week I am releasing a brand new automation for you guys to use. And that allows us to get ahead of the curve because we are always going to be producing the newest and greatest automations using the newest and greatest AI models. But in terms of where these automations are being sold, they're being sold through cold email, cold call, social media, even through communities, Upwork and Fiverr. So guys, let's talk about method number 1, which would be a cold outreach engine. And so this would be beautiful for a client that needs new leads, that is reaching a plateau or doesn't even know how to generate new leads in general. Okay, so the way that you solve this problem is by installing the cold outreach engine. And this cold outreach engine is something that can scrape new emails, it can scrape new phone numbers, it can scrape new businesses' locations, and then it can put that into a database. We can then use the AIs that we have in this automation to grab the data and decide what it wants to do with it. So if it has a phone number as a scrape, it'll then send it to a cold calling agent, and that cold calling agent will be trained on your company's offer. Same thing with email. And so if we open this baby up, this is an example of what the automation would look like at the back end, right? So this is something I call YouTube GigaLeads in our tutorial that is on this channel. And basically it's exactly what I just said, right? So it's going to grab all the information that we scraped, whether it's emails or phone numbers or locations or business names. And then it's going to decide what the keywords that we get from that scrape are. So are they a roofing company? Are they a plumbing company? Are they a fitness coach? What are they? And this information here helps our AI copywriting employee write a really good email that'll hopefully turn into a lead and hopefully turn into a paying customer. And these 2 Google Docs are loaded with all of the information about my company. And so you guys would then do that exact same thing for the customer that you're selling to. So in this case, let's say it's a roofing company and they're scraping different potential clients. This keyword bot is going to make the email personalized to the person that we've scraped. And these 2 docs are going to then put the offer under the personalization. And so by the time this email gets outputted, it'll say something like, "Hey, Janet, I saw that you were looking for a roofing company, blah, 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 blah. We have a very big tax incentive that actually saves you money with the government grant, blah, 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 blah. Here's our blah, 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 book a call." And then that will all fire off automatically. And then before you know it, this client has a solution to their issue, which is generating new leads. And so your deliverable for this client would then be to just show the increase in lead gen that you have helped them with from the previous month. You don't have to help them sell. You don't have to help them, handle the clients. You don't have to do the roofing. You just have to show the one deliverable that you're promising. And in this case, it's generating leads. And so this solves the biggest problem of this current business and their current bottleneck, which is generating leads. And that opens up the business owner's time because they can now see the results in a very easy to understand way instead of them manually having to go into the automation themselves. They're just going to learn how it works from you, and then they're going to start learning how to optimize it with the results that you're giving them month in, month out. And so like I said earlier, guys, this automation is also templatable. And so you can sell it to a roofing company. You can also sell it to a direct-to-consumer e-commerce company, right? So it doesn't matter who you're selling to, but the price point for this type of cold reach engine can go anywhere from $2,500 to $10,000 as a one-time installation. Plus you can have coaching fees, you can have update fees, and you can have upkeeping retainers. Because as a company grows, or if you're signing on to a company that has multiple employees, you're going to want to teach them. You're not going to want to run this automation yourself. All right, guys. So automation method number 2 is the content production machine. Now this uses 5 or 6 automations all at once. And what it does is it can generate new ideas based off of their competitors' ideas, based off of trending news in their niche, based off of hashtags, based off of keywords. The list goes on, and you guys have to figure out which type of API call you want to use to scrape these leads. And these tutorials are already given to you guys in our content production machine and our idea generation machine. And so basically in this example, what we're going to be scraping is new content ideas. And these ideas can be based off of their competitors. And so if this niche, let's say, is a cologne company and they're selling really high-end luxury cologne, we're going to scrape the best ideas from the competing cologne companies that are selling the same type of product. And then we're going to store those ideas in a database. Okay, I said BB here, but it's a database. After we scrape these leads and it gets stored into the database, we can then generate this content, which will then be put through an automation that is similar to this. Basically, by the time the automation's done, what the client is going to be receiving is an entire database of videos that are completed and ready to upload. And they can then choose how often they want to upload every single day, and it can all happen autonomously. So this is an end-to-end solution. And even though I said that the price you should sell it at is $1,000 to $10,000, I would only sell this for like $5,000 and up because the installation fee is actually going to take you a little bit of time. You're going to have to install the lead scraping automation. You're going to have to install the content creating automation, the clone automation, the auto upload automation. And I'm giving that all to you. But then once that's all done and that's all installed, you're getting paid thousands of dollars for one day of installation work. Okay, so it's absolutely the most high leverage thing. It is actually genuinely going to help this customer's business. So it's win-win for everybody. So in terms of the deliverable, since all you're doing is giving them the automation and you're teaching them, you can basically show them how much more productive they have become. You can say, hey, listen, like you have generated a whole 30 new videos this month, and that generated you a whole new 4 million views that probably generated you some sales. So therefore, what we're working on is productive for you, is useful for you. All right, guys, automation number 3 is something that I'm actually working on to install in my own community, and that's a community support automation. And so basically what this type of chatbot does is it handles all your leads. It could also service your current clients. It could also convert leads to sales. Your solution for this client is you're going to install a chatbot automation that is trained on their data. And so we made a video that shows you how to fine-tune large language models and how to fine-tune large image models. And basically, you would be fine-tuning this large language model on the client's business information. So then this chatbot all of a sudden has all of the context of your business or of their business. And so when a customer has any questions, instead of having a human respond, it's actually going to be this chatbot. And the chatbot is going to be an instant response. It's also going to be very accurate every single time, and it costs no money. Okay. And of course the AI doesn't sleep. And even for like a community, For people that are signing up to my premium No Code Academy, I'm now building a onboarding feature where the moment that they sign on, they go through this entire funnel that helps us understand exactly where they are and how we can help them. And if I didn't know how to do that myself, I would have bought that from someone else because it's useful. And I don't want my new students in the academy to just not know where they're going and end up leaving the academy because they didn't have a good onboarding experience. And so that is my current problem as the client. So in terms of the deliverables for this, it could be converting leads, it could be helping customers, but in my case, it could actually be lowering my churn percentage. The academy is on a month-over-month subscription. And so if the chatbot can help onboard clients better than it currently is, then our churn percentage should go down. Therefore, we make more money month over month. All right, guys, so number 4 is a AI content army automation. And we have the entire Clonify automation that I showed you guys, and it's ready to go. So here's like the first leg of that automation. But basically, guys, the client's problem is that they don't have enough faces to associate to their brand. Another problem could be that they don't even know how to create content, or they don't know how to create short form content, or they want to scale their content, or they want to grow their socials. And so installing and teaching a clone automation system would be absolutely perfect for someone like this, especially if they themselves are too shy to get in front of the camera. Then this is an absolute no-brainer to sell, because the deliverable is literally just exploding their brands. Okay, you're going to explode their socials. And that's because this business can now all of a sudden test new creatives at zero cost. And previously they would have had to either hire a content creator, like a UGC content creator, or they would have had to manually film it themselves, versus now they can just send out a bunch of different content ideas. And you may ask, like, why is that really useful, right? And that's because the business can now reach new audiences with familiar faces for all races. So if I'm a black guy and I'm selling something to the world, it's tougher for me to relate to an Asian guy. So if I have an Asian avatar creating content, then that's going to relate to the Asian viewer. Same thing with the white guy and the white viewer, the white woman and the white, you know what I'm saying? So it all rolls over in that way, and you're going to be able to represent all of these avatars as a part of your brand. Another cool thing is that then the owners of the business can really focus on the higher leverage thing, which is the copywriting. Because if these videos are going to be going out, that's not what is important anymore. What's important is the quality of what these avatars are saying. And so they're going to be able to fine tune the copywriting of their avatars that are posting videos. And once they get really good at the copywriting, they're going to start generating new clients by making these AI videos. And so the beautiful thing about AI video compared to like large language models or image models is that this one's brand new and it's evolving. And so if a customer can already start to fine tune and figure out a way to become profitable with AI video, then they're going to only get better because AI video is going to evolve. And so this is why this is one of the more powerful things. I mean, all of the automations we're talking about today are extremely powerful, but like this one's obvious as fuck. And so a simple way you can charge for this is a simple $1,000 installation fee, a retainer fee, and a training fee, because the actual thing that these people need to learn is the skill of copywriting. They don't actually need to learn anything about how the automation works. They don't even need to know how the avatar cloning works. They just need to know that their copywriting is the main variable that will actually reflect in sales and brand growth. So that's something that we teach. We have 7 different short form content methods. We have a bunch of different hooks. Those are all available. And in terms of your actual workflow, guys, you're going to install the system, you're going to teach it, and then you're going to start showing them how to scale the content. And you may have to spend a day or two with them, basically showing them real examples of how you would do it. And then once they learn that, guys, they're just going to learn and improve and hopefully keep you as a retainer client for months and years to come. Now, automation method number 5 is the growth partner. And this is absolutely 100% customizable, because the client's problem is that they're just non-technical. They don't want to use AI, but they want to use AI in their business. Meaning they just don't know how, or it's too difficult for them to learn it. And this is where you become their growth partner. And so the solution is that you're going to be using these automations manually to explode the client's businesses, because they don't want to actually spend the time to learn something that they don't know if it has results or not for their business. And so this is one of the more exciting opportunities, because if you partner up with a business that is generating tons and tons of revenue, then this growth partner method makes you a very sticky partner. The downfall of it, though, is that you are going to be using your time to produce these results. So the business owner does not want to get involved with AI, and to be fair, the learning curve is quite steep. So after a couple of months of you producing insane results, then that'll switch, and then they'll be like, okay, I need to learn this as well because what you're doing is working. And so the entire method here is going to be completely customizable. And the more that you understand AI, the more that you understand how to sell, and the more skills that you start to develop, the more that you could just use this growth partner method, because you can really just play with the knowledge that you have. And so those are the 5 automations that I would start if I was getting into AI brand new, because they all have a very massive impact on the overall business. And they touch on the 3 most urgent problems that a business may have, right? And so that's making revenue, that's freeing up time, that's saving money. And we added one more in there, and that's improving the product that they're offering.